Hello, Section Crew, and welcome back to the Second Section Podcast. I'm your host, Andy Dorsch, and tonight we got a treat for you folks out there. We got the gang from Iowa Scaled Engineering here tonight, as well as my co-host, Mike Ostertag. Mike, how you doing?
Good. How are you?
Hey, I'm upright and taking nourishment, so doing pretty good there. But I want to quick introduce our guest tonight. The gang from Iowa Scaled Engineering is here, hot off the Whirlwind Circuit tour of the RPM meets, back from St. Louis, all safe and sound. But yeah, Scott, Michael, welcome to the show. Thanks for joining us this evening.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
Yeah,
appreciate it.
So you guys you have your own company out there called Iowa Scaled Engineering, right?
It's actually, I should clarify, I'm Iowa Scaled Engineering is Michael and Nathan Holmes, and
Okay.
I am associated with their company with a few products, not like the Proto Throttle and some other things, but
Sure.
He's the idea guy.
He's the idea guy.
He's
right?
the idea guy. Yeah.
Yeah.
Good and bad. Good
That
and
little
bad.
product, the Proto Throttle, that little thing.
yeah,
Really a small couple, you know.
Michael and Nathan are engineers, and if you know anything about engineers, they like to say they like to tell the idea guys no a lot. You know, that won't work. No. So
They put the reins on the dreamers like us. That's for sure.
Yeah.
And then like the next day they're like they go, well, hey, is this kind of what you're thinking about? And it's,
that's it exactly. Yeah, that's certainly Michael for sure. You know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's got to percolate for a while, and then he goes off and does what he does best, and comes back with some gizmo that actually works. So it's a good deal.
So Scott's the idea guy, and then Michael, you're the engineer and the mastermind behind all of this. Is that right?
Well, both Nathan and myself, we develop the products, make them, try to market them with Scott's help, and then ship orders, do all the business stuff too.
Okay, so to be clear now, so I'm straightened out on it. Your company's Iowa Scaled Engineering, and can you just talk about the company a little bit and all some of the fun stuff that you do there?
Yeah, so we started about 10 years ago, just to market some of the products that we were making anyway or going to make anyway, for either our own layouts or other people's layouts. It's mostly model railroad electronics.
Okay.
It has grown into some 3D printed models. And then we also do some hobbyist electronics off on the side too. Not necessarily model railroad related, but
okay. So can I ask you a question, Michael, since I think you're new to the podcast? Scott's a veteran of the show here. So we know that Scott's got a model railroad interest. Do you have interest in model railroading as well? And what do you model?
Well, I've been a lifelong N scaler. I've been designing and starting to build a layout depicting my hometown of Altoona, Iowa, on the Iowa Interstate, and the branch to Pella from there. For a number of reasons, kind of lost interest or lost motivation on that. And just recently, in the last few months, with Scott's help and encouragement, I've switched to HO at least temporarily. We'll see if it sticks. And modeling a small branch line in Lamar's, Iowa. It's a small industrial switching line there.
So are you gonna have the blue bunny plant on there?
I was just gonna ask.
Very close. They actually are not served by the rail, but they have a sugar unloading facility where they get covered hoppers of sugar and transload it to trucks to take over to the actual factory. There's also a flour facility where another company called Bodine's Bodine's Baking gets flour, and they do a transload at their facility and then take it to the Bodine's factory to make things like ice cream cones and
that's awesome.
Cookies.
Well, that's cool.
But it's very ice cream centered.
Well, they also have a plastics
Yep,
company that
that's right.
Makes packaging. So that's
there's plastic that like Scott said, they get plastic pellets. There's a cold storage facility there. I don't know if it's associated with the ice cream plant or not. It seems like it would be, but I haven't made that connection yet. And then there's just a general transload facility where they can transload liquids from tank cars to trucks or vice versa, and also dry goods like rebar and lumber, and
Oh, wow.
they get cottonseed in covered covered gondolas, and they unload that into trucks. So it's quite a variety of industry that can be represented there. So I think it'll be.
It's really cool. I'm sorry, Andy. I was going to mention.
No, go ahead.
The other neat thing about it, if I could, Michael, is it's switched. It's a contract switcher, the Burlington Junction Railroad, which is really a neat little outfit because they have. Well, Michael, you can tell them they contract all around, don't they?
Yeah, it's like 6, 7, maybe 8 different cities that they serve. They serve Burlington, Iowa, which is their home base, but then they have actually quite a big operation in Quincy, Illinois. They've got Lamar's, Mount Pleasant, Ottumwa. There's a couple other places in Illinois that I can't remember right off the top of my head, but I actually looked at modeling Burlington. Quincy turned out to just be too big for my space, and then came back to the original suggestion that Scott had was Lamar's, and it actually fits really well into the space I have. So I think it'll be fun, especially with the proto throttle and that stuff. So I'm excited. It reinvigorated some energy around building.
Some modeling juices, right, to get them flowing again. That's fantastic. So just to keep, I guess, talking about the layout and the space, are we doing? A shelf layout, a basement empire? What do we do?
No, it's essentially a shelf layout. It goes along one wall on Ivar shelves, and then it has a peninsula also built out of Ivar shelves.
And you can get those at IKEA, right? The Ivar shelves. Yeah, cool.
Well, you have some photos, don't you, Michael? Is there a way to share those?
I mean, I could, if I can do a screen share, I can.
You certainly can.
Okay.
I'll be mad if you don't.
And the Burlington Junction, Intermountain's coming out with some Burlington Junction engines, and
really,
they're going to be pretty neat. It's a neat paint scheme.
Are you going to have the C415?
I don't know. They have quite a variety. I don't know what I will actually run on it yet. The neat thing about it is that the city of Lamar's owns the track, and they contract with Burlington Junction to switch it. So it's entirely plausible that any variety of operators could operate this line. So initially, I may just operate it with Iowa Interstate in a what-if scenario, and then as time goes on, I can figure out what I want to do. If I want to do some of the Burlington Junction locomotives or whatnot. But
yes.
The neat thing is that it can be very plausibly operated by a whole range of different carriers because of how it's set up. So
I'm gonna keep applying the pressure to get those Burlington engines on there because they're so cool looking.
Scott likes spending my money, so
and that's what good friends do.
He's got so much of it, So.
Yeah, whatever.
and that is what good friends do. They help spend money. And then Scott, if you don't mind, while Michael's looking up for those photos, just to remind our viewers out there. You're also modeling prototypically in Iowa too, correct?
Yes, I modeled the Iowa Interstate Milan branch, and for those that subscribe to Railroad Model Craftsman, I have a series in that magazine every other month, bi-monthly, and it's covering my full layout build on a shelf. And my layout is very small. It's only 40 linear feet on a 2-foot shelf, and part of it you can see over here.
There you go.
And that's the door outside.
Oh yeah.
And it's very similar to what Michael's doing in that it's a small switching layout, and it has a lot of different car types and industries. Now here's his track plan, so I'll let Michael explain.
Yeah,
Okay.
can everyone see this?
Yes.
Yeah, so over here you have the connection to the Canadian National, which is the class 1 that serves Lamar's. There's a 3-track yard here, which is where the interchange is done. And then the Americold cold storage building actually sits right here. Come around here and you have the Wells Blue Bunny sugar facility and the Bodine's flour facility here. And these satellite shots of those buildings are to scale. So it kind of gives you an idea of what will actually fit in here. You got a runaround track here. You come around the corner, there's a warehouse where they bring in boxcar loads of cardboard for making cardboard packaging. Come on around here, and this is the transload facility down here.
Cool.
You got the wet and dry transload, and then IML Containers is the plastics facility along here. So at the moment, I'm building this top section just to get some track down, get something that's operatable, and make sure it's what I want to continue with. And then, if so, I'll finish building out the rest of it. The shelves are actually all in place from my previous N scale layout attempt, so I'm just building on top of that.
Okay. Yeah.
Wow,
So
that's cool.
that's really awesome. So just to kind of give the listeners that are catching on the audio replay here, so it looks, I guess you could say it's almost like an L shape, or even like a G shaped type,
long S,
a long S, right? So
There you
you
go.
have the long wall is where the looks like the interchange is, and then it bends around to the main industries on almost like a peninsula of sorts. And then that peninsula is, I'm going to guess, is that split by a double-sided backdrop there?
That's the plan, yeah.
Yeah,
That red
awesome.
here is a double-sided backdrop.
Yeah.
And
So
then excuse me, Andy, Michael, you should talk about your other spur there, because you're taking a little license with freelance.
Yeah. Yeah. So on this, on the prototype, this 3-track yard just goes to an interchange with the CN. I have a spur shown here that sits behind the rack of 3D printers. And the idea there, one thing missing from this that I was kind of on my givens list, but I didn't get, is a grain elevator. And there is a grain elevator in Lamar's. It's not on this particular section. So it's plausible, and it's the middle of Iowa. So it's definitely plausible to have one. But my thought is I could build one here, scratch that itch, everything's good, or even turn this into a detachable module where you could click in, any type of grain elevator or industry over here.
That's a good idea.
It's off to the side. It's not part of the main thing. So it adds to that plausibility. I'm not making things up in the part of Lamar's where people would recognize it's wrong. It's off to the side, but it still gives me some other options over there.
I mean,
what about couldn't you make that what the heck is the next town down where all the stockyards and everything are?
Sioux City?
Sioux City, make that one of the elevators in Sioux City, or just make that like something like that. You could do that.
That's the idea, is that especially if I made a module, I could build any number of modules and put whatever I want there. And
that's actually a great idea.
Well, and for those who don't know, Michael is the proprietor of Grain Belt Models. So he makes grain bins on probably a daily basis, right, Michael?
Yeah, pretty much. That's what these 3D printers sitting here do.
I was just going to ask. Is that the rack of 3D printers there for Grain Belt Models?
Yep.
Outstanding. So end to end, we had a question from the Beerline modeler, and again, to the folks in the chat, just be patient. This is one of the coolest intros we've done on the show to date. So when you come rip roaring in with the track plan, that always scores high marks. So
right.
So end to end, what are we looking at for a run here, Michael?
Length, you mean? Is that
yeah.
So I can never remember. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. It's about 20 feet along the long wall here. So you've got you go around the curve, and then you got another probably 15, and then around the curve another 15.
So pretty close to 50 feet, maybe
50, 60
roughly.
feet.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's pretty good run. And again, you're looking at using the proto throttle for operations then too, right? So that's going to add a whole a whole other, element to a pretty sizable shelf layout here.
Yep.
So this is wonderful. I guess for the folks out in the chat, if you have questions for Michael and his model railroad plan here, shoot him in there. But that was pretty good introduction.
Andy, we have to know that when Michael finally gets to the stage where he can host op sessions, is he going to be serving Blue Bunny?
Well, that's what I figured. This is great because snacks are already. There's no choice there. I mean, it's
Blue Bunny ice cream.
Blue Bunny ice cream. Oh man, count me in for that. I'll serve an ice cream. I'll come running. No greasy meat hands when you're serving ice cream.
You got to set it up so that way when you have it, you get to the one end of the layout, you have like a cooler there. Yeah. Mike Wachowski on his Denver and Rio Grande layout is doing the Coors Brewery, and when you go and do the Coors Brewery, you get down to the other end. He's going to have a little mini keg sitting down there with and a tap. So you can actually pour yourself a beer while you're in, and then go finish the rest of your work.
But that's insane. Another neat thing about Michael's layout is since he and Nathan live in Colorado, but they're both native Iowans, but I live in Iowa, and I have plans to go up with another friend, Jason Clockey. We're going to go up to drive up to Lamar's, and we're going to rail fan it and shoot a lot of photos. Both for Michael and hopefully for an article, so we can feature the operations up there and also, introduce Michael's plan to the world. I mean, we're doing that now, but I mean,
on a grand scale, right?
Yeah, the expanded model railroad world. Yeah, so it's going to be a lot of fun, and he's off and running. He's got his bench work. He kind of blew through some of his bench work right away. So
that's awesome.
The other thing I should note too, it's kind of hard to see on here, but these little switches, they don't use any traditional flip over derails. It's all of these split point derails. So that's going to be a fun thing too.
Oh,
that's interesting.
Michael, could you go to the Google aerial view real quick? That would be fun for the viewers because it's quite unique. And I think the audience would really like to see this because it's pretty cool.
And Michael, a couple of questions came in from the chat for you off the cuff here. What CAD software are you using for that track plan?
That was done in DraftSight.
DraftSight.
It's an AutoCAD
online
knockoff. It's actually a commercial piece of software, but it's from a different company than Autodesk.
Nice.
So this will be neat to see this. But there's a huge variety of car types.
For some reason, there we go. So here's just a quick overview. This is the CN interchange up here.
Sure.
Zoom in closer.
Yeah. I was just going to give a quick overview and then we can zoom in. Come down here. Here's the flour and the sugar facility. You come on down here and the transload's down at the south end. So
sure.
Just a quick overview. Here's the 3-track yard right here. The Americold cold storage. The neat thing about Americold is if there's a car spotted there, it actually blocks the switches of the yard.
Oh, no.
Well, that's interesting.
And tell them about the cottonseed. I never knew this.
Yeah. So they used to unload the cottonseed up there. Now they do it at that south transload. But yeah, I guess they bring it in and feed it to dairy cattle, and it helps increase the milk fat content.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. So here's an example of one of the split point derails right here.
That's cool.
There's actually a better view from street view down here, I think, of the one that's.
So what is this derail compared to others? So if you had to describe it, what does it actually look like?
Yeah, it's a turnout without a frog. It stops short of the frog.
Oh, look at that. So there it is there.
No, that was just a regular turnout, I think.
Oh, that was a regular turnout?
It's the ones Mike likes to run all the time.
Yeah.
So if it's a turnout without a frog, basically you have a set of points, and then and then essentially the cars just hop over the closure or the
go.
closure rail.
Yeah. It's like they take the diverging route, but the diverging route doesn't exist.
Yeah.
There's a picture of it right there.
So is that planned, or is that just them cannibalizing old turnouts back so it can just run off onto the ground?
That's the new way of making derails.
Really?
That's a new thing within the last, I'd say, 5-6 years.
Do you have some on the tracks that you operate on, Mike?
Not in Manitowoc, we do not yet. We still have a bunch of the flop ones, but I was just gonna say, Justin, yep, there are quite a few of them in and around the Green Bay area that are there. And it's, you got to remember they're there. So
because I've heard that cars can actually hop over a steel derail at times, right?
Sometimes, yeah, it depends on some of the old derails were singular direction derails, which meant you could go on them over the top of them in one direction, but if you pulled back over them, you derailed. You know what I mean?
Yep.
There are very few of those left. I haven't seen one of those in probably 20 years. So,
yeah. So Professor Kleiser comes in and says, "New thing, see UK railway engineering for over 200 years." So, well, we're a little slow on the uptake over here in the States.
Yeah, it takes a while to get over here.
I just love. Oh, and there's the Bodine's facility there.
Bodine's.
Flour unloading on the right and the sugar facilities on the left. They used to get granulated sugar in covered hoppers, but apparently they're getting either liquid sucrose or corn syrup in tank cars now.
Oh, wow. Yeah. Wow. That's awesome. So this is, you have quite the diversity of equipment that you're going to need for this this shelf railroad. This is going to be fantastic.
Yeah.
So there was a comment up here from Chris Bell. Please let us know when the world premiere will be. And I think that goes for everyone in the chat. They're extremely interested in this, and myself included. Let us all know, because I'd definitely like to see the world premiere of this layout, so to speak.
I got 3 days off left to burn up, Michael.
Yeah,
we can go and knock that out in like an afternoon and get her up and running.
Sure, come on.
I'll fly. I'll fly to, you fly me to Colorado, and I'll be,
So
there I go spending your money again.
Yeah, there you go. Good friends. Good friends.
Good friends, right?
So do you have the track picked out, Michael? There's a question from Michael Lambertino.
Yeah, I'm just gonna go with the new Walther's Code 83.
Nice.
Nice.
Just get something done quickly. A good friend of ours, James McNabb, another Iowa Interstate modeler with the Hills line. I've been talking to him a lot about building techniques, and he's been encouraging me with some very, I would say, rapid building techniques just to get something going. And so that's my plan. I'm trying not to get distracted and caught up in all the other things you can do,
like hand lay. Like
hand lay and detail every tie, not like anyone here.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah, that's wild.
Don't go down that road.
Not that there's anything wrong with that, but my OCD would make me take 10 years to finish that. So I just need to move.
Yeah.
Well, very good. This is fantastic, Michael. Thanks for the nickel tour of the layout and the prototype itself. This was it was very good to see what you're going to be working on, and good to see that fellow modeler in the mix, also producing stuff for us modelers on the other side too. So good introduction. Before we get into our main event, which we're going to do first tonight, for hashtag not sponsored, and let the folks here, Scott and Michael, talk about the wonderful products that they're putting together, I do have to turn over to the chat There are 56 guests here tonight in the chat. Big audience tonight. So thank you everyone for showing up. I'm just going to go give a rundown quick of who's all here. So we had Michael Lambertino, Mark Stafford, Professor Kleiser, Justin's here tonight, CNW Mondoviline and HO Scale, Chris Bell, Graham Stockfield, Stephen N., Humanity Junctions here, Tim Moran. Let's see who else. Joe DeLusso, fan favorite Joe DeLusso here tonight. The Beerline Modeler, Thomas Chris, Thomas Klomoski is here. Welcome, Thomas. Robert Thomas is here. Welcome, Robert. Mini Prince is back. Welcome, Bernard. Let's see who else is here tonight. Oh my God, Ryan Osmalski is here. Mike Shanky, Dan's Model Railroad Journey, Weston Overland, and Chris Hiley is here. And let's see if I got everyone. Timmy's Miniature and Weathering Works is here. If I missed you, John Rose. Oh my God. So we got Gary Cobes is here, Nick LaRusso, Tim D, MECM211 is here. Randy Timmerman is here. Welcome, Randy. Good to hear from you. So there's even a few extras down here. That's right, Bernard. It is a party tonight. So Mike, do you got anything? We're up to almost 60 now. So
no, I got nothing.
You got nothing. I think we got to give the fans what they want. They came here to see Iowa Scaled engineering in their finest. So we'll go ahead and for tonight's segment of hashtag not sponsored, we have Scott and Mike. The production value is off the charts tonight. I got to tell you, the guy is on point. We have Michael and Scott. Take it away for hashtag not sponsored. What do you guys have cooking up over at Iowa Scaled and the subsidiary companies?
Michael, do you want to start or you want me?
Again, this is off to a roaring start.
I mean, you come in guns blazing with the track plan.
So I'll let you.
Okay. Well, we're excited about two new products. The one is they're actually both sound products. One is called the Sound Conductor, and I have a static model of it here. It's going to be a handheld wireless device for two-man operations. So like, let's say you've got an engineer either running, whatever DCC throttle they use or running the proto throttle, and a conductor. And the conductor would use this device as he goes about his tasks, because most two-man ops with the conductor, you've got the conductor with a switch list primarily, calling out car lengths and distance to couplings or joints. But the way that operators normally generate sounds and do the tasks of a conductor on the ground is with the sounds, they're generated from the engine with most DCC systems.
Yep.
What this device is going to do is bring the sounds that are close to the conductor on the ground to his actual location. So the conductor, because the conductor the person who's playing the conductor is normally close to where the cars are coupling. So on this device, we have 3D printed components that'll be on the handheld. We have an on-off button and a momentary button for a penny whistle for push moves. So those are familiar with push moves. It's where you have a riding platform, i.e. a caboose, where the conductor is on the riding platform and he's blowing a penny whistle as the train goes across grade crossings. So we'll have that. Then we'll have a brake wheel. And so when you turn this brake wheel, you'll hear the brake sound. And when you press it, you'll hear the chain release of the brake. Okay. And then we have a coupler. If you guys can see that coupler there.
Yep.
And this coupler, when you press in on it, we've got multiple sounds coupler crash sounds that will be generated. And we'll also have an auxiliary button that's not shown here, that when you press it, it'll have the uncouple sound along with a hose brake.
Oh, wow.
And then this guy, sorry, it's hard to get your finger in the right spot.
Yeah, right.
But and then this is an angle cock. So the angle cock is what releases the air from one car, the charged air line, into another car after the hose is connected. So this will have the sound run up, and then the hiss, and then the sound diminishing. So, and all of our sounds, I'll give a shout out to JT Burke at Scale Sound Systems. JT worked with us to record these sounds and edit them. So what you're going to hear on this little device is really good sound fidelity. We're going to use a Scale Sound System speaker in here too. So those who are familiar with Scale Sound System speakers know the incredible quality and the sound reproduction that they get with their locomotives. So we're going to have the same in the sound conductor. And we think it's going to be really fun for operations, two-man operations, where the person playing the conductor can actually generate the sounds at the location where the sound should be, not from the locomotive. So that's the first product. And then I'll let Michael describe our second.
Well, hold on a minute. You're not getting out of this that easy there, buddy. I'm telling you right now, no way.
I have questions.
You've just entered the gauntlet, pal.
Okay.
Yeah. So we have to unpack this just a little bit. So for those playing along on the audio replay, so the sound conductor itself, so describe the dimensions for you. How big is it?
It's like you can see it here.
Okay,
yeah,
so
but nobody can see it on the radio, though.
So about 3 to, what is it? About like a 3x5 card, or what am
currently? What Scott's holding is about 3x5 by about an inch thick. It's probably going to be a little longer than 5 inches in the final incarnation. We're going to move where the battery is and probably put it down longer. So it's roughly a 3x6 ish box, and it probably about an inch thick.
Okay.
Will the battery itself be similar to how the proto throttle is done, or is it going to be a semi-permanent rechargeable thing that you just stick a thing into?
Yeah, the plan is 2 AA's, and then you can choose whether you want to use regular alkalines or rechargeables for that.
Okay.
The reason we did that, we get the question on that a lot of times, but one of the reasons we did that is that if you're in the middle of an operating session and your batteries die, if you have to go plug the throttle in or this thing in, you're out of commission, right, for an hour. But if you have AA's, you can go grab AA's out of the drawer, throw them in, and get running again. So there was actually a reason for that. A lot of people question why doesn't it have a rechargeable battery? Well, that's one of the reasons. There are other technical reasons too, but that's one.
And this is a 3D printed enclosure.
Okay.
And I don't want to get ahead of Michael because he's the engineer, but right now, I think, Michael, you could correct me. I think we're gonna 3D print the enclosures. So if we do that, it may be fairly easy to design a cover, maybe with a screw, and then you could just pop it off to get access to the batteries. So
gotcha.
It won't be the type of thing like the proto throttle where you have to take out the screws and take the back off. You could just pop out the cover. And
that's the design goal right now. We'll see when we get there what it turns out to be and how hard that is. But yeah, that's the goal.
So the folks out here in the chat have a couple of questions. So is this a prototype still in design? And are you looking for people to do beta testing or anything like that? Because hey, I'll volunteer. Hashtag not sponsored. No,
but we will eventually. It's not. It is in design, but it's kind of on hold actually for the next product, because the next product we talk about, the guts of it will basically be the guts of the sound conductor. So they're very related.
They're very related. Okay. So I guess then, Mike, did you have any other questions about the the sound conductor at all?
No, all I gotta say is that I think it's going to be very interesting to see how that actually is used in practical application. I think it's going to be really neat to see how guys actually go. Like once you get it in production, I want to see how guys are using it. Because there's always going to be somebody's always going to have some iteration or some kind of
Right.
newfangled way to try to do something. I've seen some guys on here saying, "Well, it needs a pocket for card." Well, not everybody uses card cards, or
Right.
or like a thing on the side that to hold maybe an uncoupling stick or something. And well, that's all great, but if it's a 3D printed case, you guys can add all that stuff on there.
And
you can modify it however you'd like.
I gotta say, I think this is really cool because I've been to operating sessions, I've been parts of 2-man crews, and the engineers got a UT4 right in their hand, like a Digitrax or just the knob and like four different functions, right? And they got sound locos, on the layout, but you can't do all the other functions of the coupler clank, the brake wheel and all that other stuff, because there's not enough buttons readily available on the loco control throttle. So, and for me, I'm kind of a numbskull to begin with when it comes to operations. I can go forward, backward, and a couple other things. But then if I have to go digging through, functions to figure out which correct sound to play, forget it. I'm done. So I think this is fantastic. It adds a tremendous amount of play value to operations.
Well, think about the people that don't use sound. Yeah. This is a good introduction to sound for them. They don't have all the expense of an operating system. They don't have the expense of all these decoders and all this other stuff. And it's a great way for somebody to get introduced to using sound in conjunction with their layout without having. We don't know what the price point is, and I'm not going to put you on the spot for that. So, because I know that's still like that, but yeah, it's going to be a very efficient way to get into the sound world and kind of dip your toe into that water on a different type of level.
Not only the sound, Mike, but I should say the coupler crash and the coupler release with the hose brake. JT recorded a lot of different sounds, so I think the plan right now, again, this could change, but the plan right now is to put a fair amount of those different sounds into the unit, so that when you play, when they push the coupler crash, they get different variations of the coupler crash and the release. What currently on the market is just one sound, so after a while it gets monotonous.
Right.
Now, with the brake wheel and the penny whistle and the angle cock, those sounds are typically, I would say, always the same on most railroad cars. But the coupler crash and the release are different. So that's what we're going to incorporate into it. And the other thing I want to point out, besides the sound being at the location where the sound should be rather than at the engine, I mean, think about that. If you've got a 30-car train and you're backing it up, or let's say 10 cars, and you're backing it up, the engineers, somewhere else, and if the sound's generating from the engine, it's highly unrealistic. But the other thing to keep in mind, I think, for operators is it's going to, just like the proto throttle slows down operations, this is going to slow down a little bit, because the conductor is going to have to set brakes. He's going to have to open the angle cock, albeit it doesn't take very long, but he still has to do it. So that's going to be more play value for ops, especially on small switching layouts. So it expands those small switching layouts, which is really cool.
Yeah.
I think there's a question on here by Humanity Junction. I don't know if you could see that, Andy, or highlight that. Yeah, will there be an option for train crew sounds, stock ones and ones you can record on your own? Kind of like, okay, so if you're familiar with the proto throttle, the Proto Throttle has, correct me if I'm wrong, guys, I think it's a total of four programmable buttons that you can do something different with.
Three.
Yeah.
Three. Is it three? Oh, I'm thinking the Keep Alive. I'm counting that one too. Is that one counted in the
You got the box and the two beside the screen.
Okay. So like those, that's one thing, you can actually program those to do sounds or trigger or whatever if you wanted to. Are you going to have at one point, will you have similar buttons added to that?
Well, there probably won't be extra buttons, but with the circuitry we're working on will actually enable users to load their own sounds for all of the functions quite easily. And that's the plan right now, is that it'll come with a stock set of sounds. But if you really want to get into it, you could load your own custom sounds into it too.
That's awesome.
Yeah, one of the posts says, will there be a lanyard? Yes, there'll be a lanyard connection, and we're planning on having a clip on the back. So you have the option of hanging it off your neck or clipping it to a clipboard. Let's say you have a switch list, so you'll have it readily available at the top of your clipboard.
That's awesome. So there's all sorts of questions here and ideas. So you guys will have to take a look at the live chat again on the replay to take a look at it. I mean, I think there's a couple talking about Slack, letting the Slack out of a train.
There's so many sounds you could put into this. So many
sounds. Yeah. So
I know at one time I talked to Mike Ostertag about recording some like when you release an angle cock and you're letting air into, or frankly just pumping up air in cars, the cars groan and they make all kinds of interesting sounds. It's quite fascinating. So that's
yeah. And sometimes when you're opening up that angle cock, sometimes the air just wants to go all at the same time. Yeah. And then the whole thing goes in emergency.
The whole train gets locked down.
Yeah. And then you just start throwing things.
Yeah. So very good. So Sound Conductor, I can tell you that just the folks in the chat, myself included, are going to be eagerly awaiting the release. So if we wanted to stay up to date on the happenings with the Sound Conductor, where can we find you guys and find that information?
I think probably go ahead, Scott. I was going to say the Iowa Scaled Facebook page is probably the best, one of the best places. Also, the blog on iascaled.com. We'll hopefully post updates there if we remember. But
we're
not the greatest always.
I see a lot of information on your website about goings on with your products and new releases as well. We had a show on the Proto Throttle. I see you brought the red faceplate out for that. That looks super cool.
Yeah, that's really cool. Along with we also have a blue one too. That's really
I was just gonna say the blue one is very cool.
And the great thing is we've actually found pictures of control stands that are red and blue, so they are prototypical. Maybe not common, but they are prototypical.
Yeah, that blue one is really, really sharp, and so that's the next investment for my model railroad is going to be a Proto Throttle. So I look forward to brandishing one of those on future shows here. So and then hopefully the Sound Conductor to go with it, because I think that's going to be just a ton of fun to play with on a two-man crew. So okay, so we talked about the Sound Conductor. Really excited about that. What else do you guys have coming out?
So the other product that we had in St. Louis, it was a prototype, but the one we're working on that will really lead into making both of these products is a motion activated flange squeal system. So we have these sensors that can actually detect motion on the track. It looks just like a traditional infrared sensor, like one of our train spotter IR detectors.
Right.
That detects when a train goes over it, it detects that there's a train there. Well, these motion detectors truly are motion detectors. If the train is moving on it, it will detect. If the train stops, it stops detecting. And if the train starts moving again, it detects the motion. And what that lets us do is couple that with a sound player and then play flange squeal sounds when there's motion. So that's a sort of a game changer in terms of flange squeal on a layout, because one, it's not on the train, which is most solution most of the time now. It's on the curve where the flange squeal would occur, and we have a way of detecting motion so that if car's sitting over the sensor, it doesn't squeal even if it's stopped. That's the problem. And so
I'm going to try this. Hold on. We're doing this. We're going to go here. We're doing this.
Oh man, this is
it. Okay, here we go.
This is the production value and where it takes the digger. Nope. Can't hear it, Mike.
Oh, really?
But you can go to the YouTube video.
That's disappointing.
Otherwise, Michael, you don't have headphones in, do you? You're listening through the speaker on your laptop or PC or Mac. Can you bring it up? We might be able to sneak the microphone and
I'll put my headphones. I'll put my headphones over the top of my microphone. Hold on.
Oh man, that's feedback city.
Is it?
No, I don't know. That's when you put two microphones together.
Let's try this.
Yeah, it said sound card in use cannot be redirected from Professor Kleiser. He's a sound aficionado. Let's see if this will work.
I'm gonna try. I've got it queued up.
You want me to try?
Oh yeah.
Let's go with Michael here first, and we'll see if it comes through.
There we go.
So let's describe what we have going on here. So we have essentially a covered hopper on a curved piece of track, right? And there's a couple, I'm going to guess there's a couple of those IR detectors, three of them in the radius here.
Yeah, there's three sensors. So if I stop it here, there's one right in the middle and then two off to the side.
Yeah, and how far apart do you have those sensors in the track? They're about 6 inches?
So in this case, just for the demo purposes, it's about 6 inches. I think you'd probably want them maybe 1 or 2 feet apart, actually, on a real curve. But yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So can we do it again here, and we'll just kind of narrate as we go. So it's coming into the first sensor, second sensor.
Well, Andy, the sensors just sense the motion, and then the sound is on a continual loop. It's playing on a loop. And so when it senses movement, Michael programmed it so the sound fades up. So in reality,
thanks YouTube.
We'll hide that.
What happens is you have built-in randomization, because the sound file is actually playing continually, okay, in a loop. So when it senses the motion, the sound comes up. When the train stops, it fades down. So that's how it works. Does that make sense?
Yeah, this is remarkable. So you could use it in turnouts as well then, couldn't you?
Yeah, there's a lot of options for this. Anytime there's motion sensitive sound, you should be able to, use a variation of it.
Now, one thing I want to point out is what you all heard there doesn't even compare to what it is live, because it's the sound.
No, it doesn't.
Live, it sounds 1,000% better, wouldn't you say, Mike?
Oh my goodness! Oh yeah. I was blown away. I was like, shut up and take my money right now.
So this is one of those, this is one of those shut up and take my money products here that you guys have come out with again. So I guess I got a couple of questions here. So with when a person buys the squeal device, what do we all get in the box here? So what are you guys planning to put out as the package?
So the package will it will be the sound module, a speaker and integrated speaker enclosure with the driver, and then we haven't decided yet. It'll probably be at least 2 sensors, maybe 3.
Okay.
But you'll get everything needed to basically outfit one curve. Now you can go crazy with that, and you can add more sensors. You could have 10, 20 sensors if you really wanted to.
Sure.
We'll sell them to you.
Hey, I'll take them.
Or what I think, I haven't tried this yet, but I think it would sound really cool is you actually have, say, 3 sound modules, each with their own single sensor at different points in the curve. And now you get not only 3 different sounds, but you get sort of this stereo effect. As the train moves through the curve. It starts on one side, moves to the center, and then as the train leaves, you get the trailing off squeal on the other side.
So question came in from the Beerline modeler. Is the volume on these adjustable?
Yes. Yeah, and what we had in St. Louis, what we have here is turned all the way up just to make it audible. But I think in a real application, the way I like to think of it is you want it at a volume where when the train goes over it, you don't really notice the flange squeal. But if it wasn't there, if you turned it off, you would notice that it was missing. Right. So, it needs to, it probably needs to be a background sound. Otherwise it's going to get very annoying very quickly, I think.
No, is there a limit to the number of sensors one module will be able to handle, or is it an unlimited number, or
no practical limit? Electrically, you're going to run into a limit at some point, but for any practical modeler, you could support easily 20 sensors if you wanted to on one module. I don't know why you would want that many, but
if you had 20 curves,
but you probably want one module per curve at least, because you want to localize the sound to the curve at the minimum.
And so what we had discussions at the RPM with modelers was, this is the type of product, and I agree with this. This is the type of product that you want to use tastefully. You don't want to just slap this around everywhere. You want to have a purpose for why you're using it. And Michael, you could also address uploadable sounds too, because I think you were thinking about including that possibly.
Yeah, there may be an option to have user uploadable sounds on this one too. We haven't quite decided on how we will do that. The flange squeal module you buy might be just pre-programmed, but we plan to sell this sound module as a sort of a Soundbites Plus for extended play ambient sounds, and that one will very likely have user uploadable options. So you could cobble together the same thing and put your own sounds in there if you wanted to. We haven't worked out all the details on how those packages will end up, but we'll figure it out.
Wow. So that's gonna game changers, right? This is super cool. And to have it also have uploadable sounds as well. I mean, the it's limitless, right?
Sorry to interrupt, Andy. There was a modeler, I forget, Todd Herman, I think it is. Do you guys know Todd Herman? He models Eastern Line, and he has a section of a interchange, I think, where the train goes over like 3 diamonds and then goes into a real steep curve.
Oh.
And so he wanted a real tight radius, I should say. So he was interested in the system for replicating the sounds of the wheels going over the diamonds, and then once it goes into that tight curve, then you get the flange squeal. Now, if you think about that sounds incredible, doesn't it? I mean, if you could reproduce that on a layout,
that
really
that
cool.
would be very cool.
Did you say that it's speed sensitive? Like it'll be able to detect the speed? Or will it elongate? Or you said it's random, right? It's like a random. So some are short, some are long, some are in
so
between.
You have a couple questions there. The speed, yes, it does detect speed, but not very accurately. So you probably can't use this sensor to build a speedometer, for instance. But we think, and we haven't proven this yet, but we think we might be able to use the crude speed you get out of it to, say, vary the sounds coming out of the diamond click, the click clack across a diamond, and give that some variability.
Or a frog.
Or a frog. It might be good enough for that in terms of what it can sense on speed. The current module for the flange squeal, though, does not use the speed information at all. It just says, is there motion above some speed threshold? Play the flange squeal. Is there no motion? Stop playing the flange squeal. Right now it's very basic in that sense.
Okay, so we got to ask a couple of burning questions here from the chat. So Michael, Scott, Tom Klamoski wants to know any prospective dates for the products. He is ready to buy now.
I'll take this one, Scott.
Yeah, go for it. Michael doesn't want me making any promises. That's an inside joke.
I'm hoping by the end of the year for the flange squeal module, and then the sound conductor following after that. The sound conductor actually has quite a bit more engineering that needs to be done, designing the case and all the controls. And there's a lot of turning the crank to go on that one. The flange squeal, though, should be a pretty quick, relatively quick product release, just because we have the prototype. We know what we need to do. Now we just need to turn it into an actual manufacturable product.
Okay. And then are you guys still hammering out price points? That'll be with the release as well. So for those who are asking for a price, just sit tight and we'll get it when it comes out. Is that what we're looking at?
We gave some price estimates for the flange squeal module at St. Louis, so I don't mind doing it here.
Okay.
Subject to change.
Subject to change.
The sensor
# not binding.
Yeah. The sensor is probably going to be in the $20 to $30 range each, with likely some quantity discounts. So if you need more, they won't be quite that expensive. The sound module itself for the flange squeal, I'm guessing, is in the $30 to $50 range. So what we were talking about there with a starter kit with the sound module and 2 or 3 sensors, you're looking at $100, under $100 for that. It's all subject to change, and with prices going up every day and parts not available, who knows where it'll end up. But
right.
That's our goal. That's our target. We want to keep the starter kit under 100, definitely.
Yeah, go ahead, Mike.
Oh, I was just going to say, are you guys planning on going to Train Fest?
We will not be there as ISE. Nathan and I are planning to go, and I think Scott may be too. And our plan is to do like we've done in the past and hang out with the Spring Creek group and just help them sell proto throttles and other products of ours. But we do plan to be there.
That's perfect.
And maybe we can, Mike and
be
I
ready.
Can come down. Maybe Mike and I can come down and strong arm you in person. And that's
don't worry. They're well aware of my sales abilities at Train Fest.
I'm not talking about saleability.
Mike always visits the booth and causes quite a ruckus and commotion, and we
Everybody that walks by needs 10 proto throttles.
Yes. Here, you over there, buy this.
Hey, isn't this cool? Buy them.
For those who might not know who are in the audience tonight, Iowa Scale sound bites. They have, what is it, Michael? 7 different bells.
I think that's right. Yeah.
And they crossing bells, so you can get just a huge variety of prototype crossing bells. And they also just came out with a substation hum. So if you're interested in, if you're modeling a substation and you want a very low ambient hum, you can get it from Iowa Scaled. So,
oh my
and you
gosh.
still have available the cicada.
The cicada,
Of
right?
course.
yeah,
The cicada.
yes. Michael fired it up at St. Louis, and it quickly got shut down, though.
Oh,
That's the transformer hum right there.
That's the transformer hum.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
There's another one too. It's a CTC bell for the
Oh, yeah.
that plays on a CTC machine. This one was actually in conjunction with Seth Newman and a couple of the guys there in California. They asked for it, and Seth recorded an actual bell for us. So
didn't they ask for a relay sound too, Michael? Are you thinking about that?
We've had we've had similar requests for some of those other sounds. There's a long list of possible sounds we may do.
That's outstanding. So speaking of no value added conversation here, I just picked up my first cicada husk in the yard. There it is. There it is. So yep, we get serenaded by cicadas from now until probably October, till the frost hits and kills them all. So we get that little lovely sound every night. It's deafening
here in Colorado.
Yeah, that's fantastic. So these products, I got to tell you, this has been my favorite hashtag not sponsored segment so far. So I see there's a lot of excitement in the chat for these items already. But I do want to kick it over to the chat. Are there any questions for Scott and Michael about the new products that they have coming out? So we know the schedule, we know a potential price point, hashtag not binding, and it sounds like they got a lot of flexibility in the ways that you can customize these items as well. So any questions out there as the show goes on tonight, something pops in your head, throw it in the chat. I'll make sure to get it up on the live stream tonight so that you guys can get your questions answered by Scott and Michael from, well, one is associated to Iowa Scaled Engineering as the dreamer, but essentially the folks that have put this all together for us tonight. So, okay, no questions, just thanks from Chris Hiley. Yes, so very good. And I don't mean to cut Michael or Scott off here at all tonight. So, is there anything else we want to talk about with the sound bites or the flange squeal or the sound conductor? Silence. Oh man.
I think we covered most of what we wanted to say. So unless there's questions.
Yeah. So Mike, what are you doing over there? I
was trying to make a cricket sound.
A cricket sound? Crickets? Yeah. We'll maybe that's something we can get from the show for the show
a cricket
producers.
sound would be good.
Cricket sound for when I have a joke that doesn't land.
A loon for our friend Thomas Gazier. That would be kind of good.
So we do it before we wrap it up. We do have another question. So how are you guys planning to power the flange squeal device?
Yeah, it'll probably be like our other sound bites. Generally a 12-volt input would do it. It may have a wider range than the normal sound bites can go from 5 to 24 volts. This one might end up being a little narrower. We'll see how the design progresses, but the plan is to let you power it from like a 12-volt auxiliary bus.
Nice. Very cool.
Well, you can have, like, I have an auxiliary bus in addition to my DCC bus, but Iowa Scaled sells a converter that you can tie into your DCC bus, right, Michael?
Yeah. Yep. There's a little board that'll take the alternating DCC signal and output a solid DC voltage.
Nice.
So you can just tap into your DCC bus if that's all you have, and you can power your devices. So.
Yep.
Yeah, very good. There's another question from Nathan Crabb about the sound conductor. Any thought on having a sound for arming an EOT or a FRED?
I don't think I even know what that sounds like. What's that sound like, Mike?
What was it?
Arming a Fred.
Arming an EOT or a Fred.
I'll
put it back up there for the
for
sound
the sound
conductor.
conductor. Any thoughts of maybe having a sound for arming an EOT or Fred? I'm not sure that there's really a specific sound except for when it's tested. The Fred will dump. You turn the angle cock on the hind end, and the Fred goes in. It expels whatever air is in that hose to make sure that it's working. That's about the only sound there is to it. I don't know that I remember. It's been so long since I've even seen a Fred. I don't get out much.
You don't get out.
I don't get
They
out
don't
much
let you
anymore.
out of the cab?
No, they don't let me. They don't let me even touch anything. 3 beeps to arm and a dump sound for the test. Okay. Yeah, but the arming is the 3 beeps to the arm is up in the cab though, not out on the conductor's end. The only thing the conductor would hear would be the
air
dump
let off.
sound, the air dumping. I think.
Yeah.
Is that right, Justin? Am I right there? Yeah. See the engine. Yep, he's just said that beeps will be in the engine though.
There you go.
So, something to think about. Maybe. Maybe at one point. Maybe. So, I do have one other question. Since we got the both of you here, and we're still in hashtag not sponsored.
This has been the best hashtag not
hey,
sponsored yet.
I'm just gonna do this.
We're gonna do it.
I'm gonna let you two guys fight this out. Does Grain Belt Models or Scotty's Models, either one of them, have anything new and exciting coming up in the future that you guys would like to talk about?
Well, Michael, go ahead first.
Yeah, there's nothing new other than just new sizes of grain bins. We're always adding to our stock of grain bin sizes and doing custom ones for people, but nothing really on tap there that's at least going to be released in any reasonable amount of time. So
okay.
As far as my little store, I run a store called Scotty's Model Shop, and it's just scottysmodelshop.com. And I sell, right now I only sell 3 products on there. I have a derail, a 3D printed derail, and a track cleaner that uses microfiber sheets to clean the rail. Does a really good job. And then I sell what I call EMD upgrades to the proto throttle. They're just a ribbed reverser and a plunger bell and and some oval light switches that people can upgrade their proto throttle controls with. Yeah, there you go. You can see the 3 products. But I'm currently developing a new product that I'm going to call the car cradle. And what it is I don't like using foam cradles to work on models, whether an engine or a car.
Yes.
And I took a cue from some of the military modelers who use a product called an octopus.
Yes.
And this octopus was made for only about 6 months over in Poland.
Yep.
And then I think the company went out of business. But it really inspired me because I want something that I can model like weather cars and move the car to different angles quickly. And
Yes.
so I'm designing this car cradle around a quick release tabletop tripod with a platform. So if you're familiar with photographer quick releases, you release it and then the platform, or i.e. the camera that a photographer uses, you can move the camera any angle, any direction. And so I'm working on a model platform like that. So I'm currently brainstorming on ways to hold the cars and hold model engines, but I've got some really good ideas and I think it's going to work. So you guys can.
I think I got the picture of it up right here, don't I?
Oh yeah, that's the first prototype right there.
Yeah, the cradle.
The model cradle.
Well, I'm going to call it the car cradle now, because I was originally think that prototype is made out of plate steel, and that's much too expensive. I'm going to make it out of acrylic, and it's going to be much more condensed. And I was originally thinking about having it be magnet based to hold the car on, but I'm going to go a different route. So anyway, yeah, there's the derail.
So, couple questions coming back on the derail. Are those throwable?
Yes.
Oh,
Sorry, Scotty. Sorry, Scotty.
No, that's fine. There's a little skewer there. You can throw it front and back.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, it's a two-piece 3D printed part, and the picture above there, that is Tom Klimovsky's layout.
Hey.
And so Tom bought one of the very first ones, and they weren't quite refined, so Tom had to do a little sanding on these, but they're perfect now. But Tom was my guinea pig, but he bought these and he put them on his layout, and you can see how they throw open and close. So
That's awesome. So they sit right down in the ties there for folks who don't know what the derail is, and they cover up the the head of the rail.
yeah,
Right.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Yep.
and then when you're switching in industries, you flip them open and push the cars in or pull them out.
yep. And I've got some other ideas that I'm playing around with, and I've got a new acquisition to my modeling room, and it's a X-Tool D1 Pro laser. And so I'm it's the poor man's laser, but I'm having a lot of fun with it, and the thing works fantastic. And I'm going to I've got some product ideas in mind for the laser.
Oh wow.
And
I got 3 days off left to burn, Scotty. I can come on down and help you out with that anytime you want.
yeah,
I got coming out here, Mike.
I got
You're
3
going to
days.
Colorado.
I
yeah.
got 3 days off to burn, or Michael, I can come up and
Speaking-
help you in Colorado anytime you want.
Speaking of burn, Mike, when you get a laser, that's pretty much what you do is you burn things. And I did my test just the other day, 2 days ago, on a piece of 1/4-inch plywood, and that thing burned through like butter. And it was like, oh my word.
So is this kind of like a little? This isn't like a glow forge, right? It's not. Or is it like a glow forge on steroids, or what is it?
If one of you could pull up a screen capture and just go to X-Tool D1, you'll see what it is. It's an affordable laser for hobbyists, and most lasers that people have purchased in the past have run in the $5,000 range. This one's quite a bit under $1,000, so it's affordable.
Wow.
So
I'll bring up a quick screen share here, so we can possibly take a peek at it.
I think Iowa Scaled Engineering needs one of these.
So
Spend more money, Michael.
Yeah, thanks, Scott.
Yeah, there it is. That's my
Wow.
unit. That's my unit right there.
pretty cool.
But it's a slick little.
What is the size of the bed in that? Does it say?
It's about 16, 18 inches square, something like that. But
So that's not small by any
pretty
stretch of the
decent
imagination.
size.
That's a good size.
no, it's pretty good size. There's a modeler named. If anyone wants to look on YouTube, there's a modeler named James Powell. Dirt Spot 7 is his tag in YouTube, and he's doing some amazing things with one of these lasers. He's an amazing modeler, and he's been building brick buildings. So he takes a bitmapped image. If you know what a bitmapped image is, it's just bitmapped is just a variation of grayscale, and he put together this tiled image of brick as a bitmap, and he lasered it, and my goodness, it looks amazing. So he's got a Facebook page too, Dirt Spot 7. Go take a look, guys. And he's building some freight cars utilizing or passenger cars using the laser too, and it's just amazing stuff. So that's my new toy.
That's fantastic. That is awesome. So I guess we looking forward to hearing more about the Scotty's model shop coming up here. This is going to be awesome.
Well, and I'm going to feature a lot of the laser work too in the RMC series.
Ooh.
So on the Mylon branch, so as well as 3D resin printing and also FDM printing, which is the filament printing.
Yep.
So
Yeah.
Right.
in fact, the next issue that comes out, I'm building a highway overpass, and I used basically all three on that highway overpass. So
that's cool.
Yeah.
So that's in the upcoming series in Railroad Model Craftsman.
Well, it's current. It started in last January. So
in last January.
It's every other month in Railroad Model Railroad Model Craftsman.
I could see that laser being really helpful for doing things like making stencils for like painting lines on roads and stuff like. Yeah.
Did you just?
No, I just totally thought of that just now. I didn't.
Yeah, that's what I did. I took frog tape. For those who are familiar with frog tape, it's a painter's tape that has a proprietary element on the sticky side that if any moisture hits it, it instantly locks the moisture out. So I just put a 2-inch wide strip of frog tape on a piece of wood, and I mocked up the cut lines of the scale lines for the highway.
Yep.
And I just cut it out of the frog tape and used the frog tape as a template, and you could just basically slop the paint on there, and then it pulls up and it's perfect line. So it was that's what's going to be shown.
Is that the yellow or green frog tape, Scott? Because they have two different varieties.
It's the green.
The green.
The green. Yep.
So the heavier tack stuff.
That's very
cool.
Yeah.
That's awesome. So this it's exciting stuff. So make sure, Scott, to let us know so we can share that stuff on the Facebook page and let the folks know when that stuff gets released so they can go check out RMC.
Okay.
And all the other stuff that you guys have coming out. So just a quick circle back to Michael Grain Belt Models. That's part of the iascaled.com, right? It's just a little segment within the web page there, correct?
That's correct. Yeah, it's a separate brand for the 3D printed models, but it's all part of ISE.
Okay, so that's perfect. Yeah, so if you go out to Iowa Scaled, I think it's the second one in, right? On the menu navigation there's Model Railroad and Grain Belt Models. Yep. So just if you want to find out the alternative stuff going on there, go out to Grain Belt Models. They got some cool bins, culverts, all sorts of fun stuff.
And I think Michael has some more things coming down the road. I don't want to. I think it's okay to say. I mean, he's thinking about details for his Grain Belt models, so that might be a future product.
Ooh, that's a good idea. That'd be kind of cool.
Nothing. I didn't really have anything on the horizon, but
now you do.
I force his hand.
Yeah.
Put it out there, and no, but he's been thinking about different details for his grain belt. His grain belt. I mean, his grain bins are amazing. They're very easy to put together. Mike, you own one.
I owned several.
Yeah.
Plus the culverts, plus whatever else stuff you guys take my money with. It's you guys got to stop. I can't work. I'm like basically working to provide for you guys. Is what I'm doing. I owe my soul to Iowa Scale Engineering.
Yeah. So we did have a question for Michael. Any chance of seeing concrete silos in the future?
There are no plans, and in fact, there's a company called JP3D. I think he's out of he builds a lot of the concrete silos currently.
We're going to have him on here at one point. Yep.
Oh yeah.
They're carried exclusively through Spring Creek, but you know he knows how to do it. He's got the printers for it. So I don't really have a need or desire at this point. So we probably won't go into that.
Okay. So and you can find his stuff at Spring Creek model trains or the Spring Creek hobby store online.
Yep.
Here's a model.
Raise it up higher, Scotty. Raise it up
He's
higher.
got a website of jp3dmodels.com. So I think that's him. Yep.
Here's a model I'm working on that has a grain belt model top, but check that out.
So
that's cool.
It's a corn crib.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now is that with photo etch that you wrapped around the radius of the diameter of the top of the bin?
Yep. And then that dark area inside is just a 3D print that I used to get the curve, but that'll be removed later. So this is just show and tell,
Yeah. That's perfectly.
That's awesome.
That's the stuff we want to see is some of the other things that you can do with that's a grain belt model's I guess bin top then, huh?
Yeah, and I'm starting to weather it and beat it up a little because this corn crib is going to be an abandoned corn crib in my cornfield, which is going to be one of the installments in the RMC series. So I live in Iowa. I have to build a cornfield, so.
Yeah, right. It's what you have to have on a Midwestern layout, at least one, right?
Yep.
And Tom Johnson, I see your comment, concrete bases. You've been hounding me about that. Send me the site. we will make it happen. So.
How do you say no to Tom Johnson when he asks for something?
See, look at I got one already.
Oh man,
Michael!
Wow.
No, it's not mine. It's this was graciously provided to me by my good friend Michael Peterson. So,
who I think he runs a business, doesn't he?
Yes, he does.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, that's kind of what I heard something about it.
Yeah. That's good. That's really cool. They must double as drink coasters then as well. Then those grain bin bases.
Yeah. When you have your coffee, you just put it right on there.
Yeah. When you got a couple extra, you can buy them for your bins and then make sure you have one for your workbench. That we'll be talking about that a little later. So fantastic. So a lot of good questions from the chat. A lot of awesome excitement around the products that you guys have coming out. Michael, Scott, anything else that we want to talk about on the hashtag not sponsored segment, Iowa scaled and Scotty's model shop. Yes. Nothing. All right.
Well, we'll just keep coming up with new ideas so we can take Mike Ostertag's money.
Hey,
that's exactly what you're gonna do.
And it looks like quite a few other people in the chat tonight.
Yeah,
so.
That's exactly what you're gonna end up doing too, and you guys know it.
Oh,
yeah.
I've never seen you go. No, that's okay.
Yeah.
No. Don't. Hey, you just take one for free. Yeah.
Hey, if we have a lot of fun. It's a great hobby.
Yeah. All right. So that'll take us through our first segment of the show tonight. So we got the main topic was the hashtag not sponsored with the folks here, our guests tonight, Michael and Scott, but we are going to take a TV break here. We'll kick it over to the Greasy Meat Hands band as they introduce our next segment. If you guys do have questions for Scott or Michael about any of the products that they talked about tonight or any other product lines, be sure to throw it up in the chat. But now let's kick it over to the band. All right. So that little riff means it's time for the short line of the show. Fan favorite short line of the show segment here on the Second Section podcast. Mike, this is your chance to shine. What do you got for us tonight? Where are we?
We are, believe it or not, we are in Illinois.
And
what a fantastic.
Oh, we missed it by one. one show. We couldn't do Iowa.
Show. No, 2 shows. Two shows. You got to go to
yeah.
Indiana next.
I better go back to school.
Yeah, just ahead of everybody. Just before I get into it, Indiana will be the next one. So,
yeah.
But Illinois, awesome segue, because the railroad that I chose, I actually rail fanned myself on the way home from St. Louis.
Ah.
And that railroad is, oh, wait a minute, I got to get the high quality production value going here.
Hashtag not prepared.
Yeah. Oh, I'm more than prepared. The Bloomer line.
The Bloomer line.
The Bloomer line. Okay. It is a railroad that is wholly owned by the Alliance Grain Company. And Alliance Grain Company owns all of the grain elevators that are on this railroad. They own every one of them.
Really?
Yes.
Do we know how many that is? I was going to ask you that.
I want to say it's right around 9. It may be a couple more, but I'm not. It's right around that. Okay. There's basically at least one in every town they go through.
Nice.
Yeah. So now I've got to go to my crack thing here.
So the
get to the map.
Line.
The Bloomer line.
Okay.
Here's a map of the Bloomer line. They're based out of.
Can you zoom in just a hair there? Okay.
They're based in Gibson City, Illinois.
Gibson City, Illinois.
Yes, and that's where they interchange with the CN and I believe it's the NS. Matter of fact, I have right here.
Oh, you are so prepared tonight.
I have a map of Gibson City.
Look at this. This is a track plan right here for
this right here is. This could be a railroad unto itself.
Yes.
So you have the NS and the CN, former Illinois Central, and this portion of the NS is the former Nickel Plate, and this portion of the NS is the former Wabash.
Okay, so
and then
go ahead. Yeah, so it looks like we're in Gibson City, Illinois here, and
yes.
So basically we're looking at a railroad map of the town, and it looks like there's a cross right in the middle of Gibson City, and the cross is the old Nickel Plate running east-west. Is that right?
No, there's no diamond here anymore.
There's no diamond there.
No, the diamond is gone.
Okay.
And all of this right here where my little hand cursor thing is, yep, I believe that's all abandoned.
Yep.
And then so the CN cuts through town kind of northeast to southwest. Yep. And then right here the NS comes up from the south and then heads to the west.
Right, kind of on a half of a Y almost, right?
Right. Yeah, exactly. And then they cross right there. But in the middle of all this you see in red is the Bloomer line. They operate all of this in red, and obviously they have some trackage rights to get onto the NS. And I'm not sure down here what they do with the CN, except for interchanging things. But then their trackage their main line trackage actually comes right here and starts heading north and goes out of town. And their shop facility is just a small little, let me see if I can find it here right quick. Right here. This is Gibson City. This is their engine house.
Oh, nice. So it's basically a 2-car garage.
Basically, yeah. It's if you to note of anybody that's Northwestern milers, they've got a whole boatload of these stored. What I found interesting is this was on Saturday on my way home, and these guys, there wasn't anything going on. The railroad was basically shut down, but this trackage here was blocked by the switch for it is way up here. And so the track to get into the engine facility is blocked by all these covered hoppers.
So let's see here. So the engine facility, essentially it's a modern day 2-bay
like a pole barn type
shed.
building. Yep.
And then so
2 garage doors on it.
Yep. And then right next to that, it looks like they have a storage track for covered hoppers.
It's actually a little yard.
It's a little yard.
Yeah, if we go back, I got so many photos open. I'm gonna have to do this the hard way. So if we go back to the map of Gibson City, you can see that it actually shows that it's a yard. So there's like 3 or 4 tracks right here.
Sure.
And so and I believe at one point there's someplace down in this area. I didn't actually drive this far down into the yard. But there was some kind of transload. It looked almost like a sand car or something like that was going on. It was just a small little transload thing.
Sure.
But going back to the main map at Gibson City, the beautiful thing about this railroad is that it is self-contained. So this is the only outlet to the real world is at Gibson City. The rest of this is all Bloomer line.
So if you're looking at the map, Gibson City is the southernmost point of the railroad.
Yes, the southernmost point of the railroad, and then it goes north through the town of Sibley, and then at just a little north of the town of Risk, which I don't even know if you want to call it a town, is where there's actually and I found a picture of it online because I didn't know it existed until after I got home, and then I was mad.
Okay.
But because there's actually a signal that an old signal that controlled this. This was a diamond, I guess, at one point, and one of the signals was still there. So it doesn't operate anymore, but it's still standing. And so the line from the northernmost point is Kempton. That's operational. There's a portion of the railroad that goes up to Herscher, Illinois, that is abandoned. And then the whole railroad basically forms a really goofy looking T.
Yeah, it's like a sloping T, right?
Sloping T. Yeah. So the southwesternmost portion of the top part of the T is at Colfax. And then there's a line from Colfax down to Barnes, Illinois, that's abandoned. So I'm going to go back to the photos that I took here, and I'm just going to kind of go where I started here. This is in Anchor, Illinois, which is, and at Anchor, that's all that there was there was just this little excavator on railroad wheels that with a grapple on it and a little magnet, and it's obviously a piece of section equipment or track equipment.
The section crew.
Yeah, for the section crew, and they're just parked in a grain elevator. One thing that I did notice is it's obviously a little off-season time. It must be because for them, and there's a lot of track work being done.
Getting ready for harvest time.
Here, Michael. Here's some really nice looking GSI grain bins that look oddly familiar. And there's a whole
not sponsored.
Hashtag not sponsored, but hey, look, there's a whole family of them right there.
So there you go.
There you have it.
So so not only can you see how they're modeling here? So we got a nice picture of the railroad in the foreground. Just is it, a single track there, and then a whole host of GSI grain bins in the back from the looks of it.
Yeah, this is the main line, and the starts of the siding where that section equipment was, and if you happen to purchase a grain bin from
Grain
Michael
Belt Models.
From Grain Belt Models, you get an actual GSI decal that goes along with it.
That's pretty slick.
I believe they come in white and yellow also. So I should check that. But
we'll have our producers fact check that for you.
Yeah. And then I saw these augers sitting there. There's very nice looking augers. They're a little more modern auger, but they're a really I thought they were kind of cool looking.
Much like the ones again that we could get from mini prints.
Very similar to the ones
Very
that are
similar.
except for
now
these
we
are on
got,
steroids.
yeah,
these are huge.
they're quite big, probably to go up to what, a 60-foot tall bin.
Oh,
I'm guessing.
at least.
Yeah.
So then there we're at here's our map. So I started down here in Anchor. Actually that I'm just going in alphabetical order here, not necessarily in any order. I want to I'm just gonna do it this way.
Okay.
Because I don't have these in order.
We'll just flip-a-rooski.
Nope, I'm not gonna do it that way. Okay, so here I'm at Chatsworth. I'm up at Chatsworth. This is the Bloomer line main line, and the Diamond with the TP and W, the
Peoria
and Western, yes,
right.
which is now part of Genesee and Wyoming. And this is the Bloomer line main line right here. And Chatsworth is actually pretty cool. It's a really neat, really neat town. I found this to be very interesting. It's a Milwaukee Road style. It's the feather is a little rounded, but it's a Milwaukee Road style switch target on a really plain standard type switch stand. This is on the Bloomer line. So I thought that was kind of interesting. It's kind of the little details that you can tell what railroad you're at. Yeah. And now here, this is on the nickel plate. This is the TP and W's main line, and obviously you can see the Diamond right here. And in the background here, you can see the switch that connects. This is the connection track between the TPW and the Bloomer line.
So I got to stop you here for just a second because I have a question because I don't know the answer. So how do they control the crossing here? So you have, if we're looking at the picture, you got the Bloomer line kind of stretching from left to right, and then it's basically a 90-degree crossing. So how do they manage that crossing?
If I'm not exactly 100% sure, but if past my own personal experience in the past, like we used to have at Black Creek in Black Creek, Wisconsin, when we crossed the WC on the Green Bay and Western, we used to have to go and run a timer. And so you'd go up and run a timer, and when the light turned green, you got the light. So as long as there was nobody else within the distance signal, you could go and do that. So I'm assuming this is I'm probably going to get this wrong, but it's an uncontrolled siding or an uncontrolled diamond.
Crossing.
Uncontrolled diamond. So that would be my guess. But I mean, you can see there's, if you look at the track down here, you can see right here, there's like little bonds.
Sensors.
Yeah, they're called, those are called bonds. They actually connect the two pieces of track electrically. Mm-hmm. So I don't know. I know there's a distance signal for this, and I will get to that here in a second. Oh, there it is. How cool of a distance signal is that?
It's an old semaphore.
It's a semaphore, but it's got a solar panel on it with an LED light.
What?
Yup. I kid you not. This is an old semaphore box that's been repurposed in its same position as a distance signal. It is permanently attached semaphore in a distance position. This is an LED with a solar panel.
Unbelievable. So I'm going to ask you a question. So I've seen some signage on this railroad on the Bloomer line here, and I'm looking at this distance signal, right? Is it got a lean to it, or is my leg of the chair kind of missing the foot here?
No, the distance signal has definitely got a lean to it. Yes.
Okay. So
this is on the TPW.
Oh, that's on the TPW.
That's on the TPW.
I saw some of the grade crossing crossbucks there. The posts all had a lean to them. Yeah, look at them.
Yeah, they all have a
It's
lean
like
to
someone
them.
was pushing on them.
Well, it is middle of Illinois. A lot of
Windy.
tornadoes. A lot of
Lot of torn-
tornadoes go through
So,
stuff. A
so
lot of
there's
high
a little
winds.
interesting detail that you could put on your model railroad if someone comes by and says, "Hey, that post you put in the ground isn't straight." Well, it's actually
Yeah,
prototypical
well,
there.
yep.
That lean is prototypical. You can argue that.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, if you look at the telephone poles, even this one looks straight. This one looks like it's leaning
Oh
towards us.
man.
This one looks like it's leaning off to the side.
Oh man.
It's
So I used to
uh,
build pole barns back in the day, and like, it just when I see something that's not square like that, it just makes my skin crawl. It's just like that's not even square with the world. Oh my god, I can't stand it.
well. Here's what's also in Chatsworth: an actual TP and W caboose.
Yeah. So Joe Gordillo said that Chatsworth is where they used to have railroad days back when he was a kid, and the TPW would give caboose rides.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, and train rides.
And I know I'm a little on the TPW thing here, but this is part of it. This is a signal at Forest, Illinois, on my way to Chatsworth. And there's a really neat depot. It's kind of a cool little turret that they've got on there. There's
There's
a Wabash River, it's a model train museum.
Really?
Yeah, Wabash Railroad Depot. Yep.
Did you stop in there?
No, they were closed.
Hmm.
They were closed. Like I said, it was Saturday. Almost the whole state was shut
Was
down.
the porta potty that's on the side open?
I would imagine.
Yeah.
I got yelled at. I got yelled at for taking one of the pictures because I was in the middle of the road. They also have this old Norfolk Western caboose in Forest.
Nice.
But now we're gonna go back to the Bloomer line, I think.
Okay. Whew.
Oh, we're back at Gibson City, and at Gibson City, this is actually on the Bloomer line roster. Is this Alliance Grain Company? I believe this is a 12-ton Davenport. I've got more pictures of this here in a minute.
So it's like a little critter.
It's like a little critter. It actually looks very much, for those of you that are of age that would know, it looks very similar to the old, I want to say it was a 3-wheel AHM locomotive that used to be. It looks very similar to one of those. So
Tyco.
was it Tyco or was it AHM? Tyco?
Model Railroad IMRRO.com says Tyco.
Tyco.
Eric's our fact checker.
Yes, he is. Thank you, Eric.
Thomas Chris says it looks like a Plymouth.
Hey, Mike.
Yeah.
Look how they rammed that up against that bumper and bent their little grate there.
I know. I know.
Footboard?
Oh yeah, this thing doesn't look like it's moved for a while even, and it is just so funny to see this stuff. These guys, these short lines are so awesome with the way they do stuff. It's everybody's got their own way of doing things, and this is that's pretty cool.
Just as rammer home.
So right in front of this is one of the Bloomer locomotives, and believe it or not, this is a GP10. It looks like a GP9, but this is a rebuilt GP9 that's a GP10. It's got some extra louvers on the side and stuff, and it's I believe the only high nose unit that they have.
So
and this is actually the front.
I was going to say, where's the F on the sill located?
It's right here.
So it's reverse running.
It's reverse running. Yes.
So let's describe this for the folks catching it back on the audio replay. The paint scheme for this engine looks like a CB&Q.
That would be 100% correct. It is very much based on the CB&Q, along with their lettering. It says just simply the word Bloomer on the side, and the locomotive number is on the side of the engine is just behind the cab and it's a two-tone gray on the top, red on the bottom, Chicago, Burlington, and Quincy style paint scheme. And what's cool about this one is I believe I have a roster someplace. Stand by. Oh, wait a minute.
Standing by.
Standing by. We have a roster. What engine number was that, by the way?
70 something or other. It was a 7,000.
Yeah, it was. Let's see here. It was the 7549. So
you
the
go.
7549 is a former Conrail unit, formerly Penn Central, New York Central originally. So that engine has a rather interesting lineage.
It's at least 50 years old, huh? 50, 60 years old.
Every bit of that. And what the neat thing is it has its long hood forward, has a really nice big snowplow on its front, torpedo tube air tanks,
Yep.
a larger fuel tank, and the bell on the on the long hood, similar to like Nickel Plate had an NS and Southern and
Southern.
Norfolk Western and Southern and stuff. So this Jeep 9 or GP10 is loaded with details.
That's awesome.
Isn't that model? Wouldn't that be fun to model? That'd be awesome to model. This is where it was parked. It was parked just underneath one of the grain elevators right in town. It had another one of their little grapple critters, track pieces of equipment.
Yes, for the section crew.
For a section. This was between that locomotive and the two locomotives, actually. Yep, right. There it is. You were right. It was a Plymouth.
Thomas Chris.
Yeah,
ding, ding,
nicely
ding.
job.
Winner. Chicken dinner. And you can see the bent footboard there. It's just
this is fantastic.
I mean, you really, when you see it with the front profile here, they ran like, I mean, it's almost like the last op session that I was at. Sorry, Bob Welke, where I just ran my locomotive into the bumper and bent it. I didn't bend it though.
The ditch light looking housing for a headlight is very interesting. That's pretty neat.
And it's got
then here's what's that?
Go ahead. I was going to say, and it's got a beacon and some other accoutrement on the top of the cab.
That would be the muffler.
So the muffler's on top of the cab.
This is the exhaust stack right here, and then it goes through it here and goes into a muffler and comes out the back of the engine.
I mean, it'd be good for the winter, but in the summer, it's got to be brutal. I
may have a photo of the back of this. I can't remember if I have one or not, because I kind of was taking things as I walked around. So here's now we're looking at the opposite side of the 7549, the GP10.
Yeah.
And yeah, this is very. Oh, there we go. Yeah, see, there it is. There's the muffler.
Oh, darn.
That's the
exhaust. We're going
back
to the critter now.
And we're back at the critter, and here we are. The muffler comes right out the back, and its air tank is here. Interesting though, it has lights on the side here. I'm not sure why, but I thought that was kind of neat.
Obviously not looking out for bumpers.
No, obviously not, right? Now, here's an interesting little situation. Can you find something a little wrong with this engine?
Mm-hmm.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so we're looking. Mike's got a picture up on screen here. It's looks like some sort of
SW1200.
SW1200, but there's something wrong.
It's missing its front truck. I guess from doing some research, it's been like this for a little while. I'm not sure why. It's actually shown as a unit, I believe a unit that's out of service. I don't know why. If you just get a couple of guys my size on the back, I think we could wheelie this thing all over the place. It's very interesting. It's painted the same as all the rest of them, except for it doesn't have any lettering or numbering, except for on the number boards it says 55, and that's it.
So again, with the gray and the red and the black.
Yep. And it's just the front truck is missing, and the front end of the locomotive is held up by jack stands.
Somebody stole it. That's what somebody was implying.
Yeah, there
yeah,
was
yeah. Somebody stole
Eric
it. It was
from
in a bad
IMRO
neighborhood.
Was it
Yeah,
was it
you're in
left
a
in a
yeah, you're in a bad
maybe?
neighborhood. So we're back at the engine house. We
Yeah.
skip over that. Now I went on the other side of this engine house. Now, this was over by I can't remember what the name of this industry was, but it was it was just another industry here. I believe it was uh, like a box plant or something along those lines. Is GP10 number 7504 and GP10 number 7504, and we're just going to flip over here, is Illinois Central Heritage.
Mm-hmm.
And it has, as you can see, it's been on the started as Illinois Central, went to an ICG unit, was GMSR, which was, oh boy, I can't remember. Was that Green Mountain? No, Green Mountain Southern? Something like that. MSRC had it. Ohio OHCR Railroad had it. SPCX, and now on the Bloomer line.
And what's the Bloomer reporting marks?
BLOL.
So that one's for Tom for Split Rock there.
Yep. BLOL. BLO. Blol. So so let's see. We're right here. So I went and I took several pictures of this locomotive. It was in the weeds a little bit, so the trucks and the underbody details are not very well defined, and it was in the shadows, so it was a little different. But if you look, the ox yoke has been modified so that it doesn't have the drop down portion on it anymore. It just simply is cut off at the square. It's still an air intake. It's just that it doesn't come down from the sides. It's just 100% off the, squared off at the roof. And this locomotive has a short hood, and it's one of the Frog Eye GP10s. Yeah, really kind of cool. I don't think I've ever actually photographed one of these in person before. I may have one time, but I can't find it. But it's kind of a bucket list engine for me, so that was kind of neat.
This is really cool, Mike.
So I thank you. I took some pictures of their logos, of their
paint, the lettering.
paints, the lettering.
You gotta love the fade on all the engines,
right? Isn't that something? Isn't it weird how that red hasn't turned to a really weird looking pink? Well, because
the one looks like a salmon cut, like that looks like salmon, and the other one looked pink.
Yeah. The one that was
the first one, the high first looked pink.
This one right here.
That one's
got right there. Yeah, that one's got quite a bit of fade to it. Yeah. So I over off to the side, off of the Norfolk Southern, they have this huge grain facility over here. And here's another GP10, the 7561. And we're just going to pull that up here. And again, that's a New York Central unit. That ended up being, it's been chop nosed, and that one was a Conrail unit, Penn Central, and another New York Central unit. So that in itself is really interesting, because at one point this has been, how can I say it? It doesn't have the torpedo tubes. It's more of a traditional GP9 body, but it's been rebuilt into a GP10 by Paducah, by Illinois Central, and it very much just looks like a Illinois Central GP10 is what it looks like. Here's Scott. There's got kind of a look. It almost looks like someone rolled the paint on, doesn't it? Like with a roller, the way it's coming off and fading. Yeah, the air filter. Now that is called a FAR air filter, if I remember correct. That is the difference. The Milwaukee Road had some a handful of the Milwaukee Road GP20s and a few of the SD10s had this style of air filter on it. And I believe this one is called a FAR. Correct me if I'm wrong, somebody, but
and I think Chicago Northwestern had a few of their GP7s with that.
oh, you know what? I think you're right. I think you're
some of the old Rock Island ones that they brought over, I think, had that type of air filter or intake on it as well.
yeah. I think you might be right. And then there's this purple thing sitting in the middle of the yard. And I didn't want to go out and walk down there and take any big pictures of it. So, but this is a Larry's Truck Electric 1206. And I didn't have the chance to actually, isn't that kind of neat? It's purple.
That is not faded. That is purple.
That is definitely purple with a black roof. And I'm not sure if it's on the roster or not. I don't know if it is, but then let's see. What was that map? That was a Gibson City map. This is at risk. A little old Burl crane, and I couldn't make out. It says it's car number 100, and I don't know what the initials here are, but I thought this was really, really cool. And it's just this whole little thing. The car itself is just loaded full of detail. All the pile of scrap that's on it, the Burl crane, if you're looking for a model, a railroad detail that you just want to stick on the side someplace, and some old forgotten about little siding that's all grass covered, this would be a beautiful little detail to put in there. Yeah. And what's even cooler than this was this on the other end of the crossing, like when this track crossed the road that Burl crane was on, there are sets of wheels on down far by like a set of trucks down here. It looks like 2 sets of trucks, but there's this unload, or this, like, they used to take, I'm assuming, dump trucks and dumped them into Gons would be one way of thinking of it. This is old. This is an old loading technology here. This is, you're backing dump trucks into something and loading a car with it.
Wow.
Just in the middle of nowhere. I mean, you are in the middle of nowhere, Illinois. I mean,
unbelievable.
This is at a town called,
hey, Mike, back up for a minute. What was that?
Yeah.
What was that orange thing all the way down there?
Yeah,
I have no idea what that was. I didn't really want
a fluid, some sort of fluid tank.
It very well could be like fuel, maybe, like, or an old oil, like an oil tank.
Can you zoom in there?
It's on wheels. It has wheels. I see wheels right here. I see flanges.
It's got a hose on it.
So. It's got a hose on it. It looks like it's a, I don't know. I have no idea.
It almost looks like a fuel tank.
You know what? I don't know. This is, and I'm going to screw this up, so I apologize. This is at the town of, I believe it's Sibley. It's Sibley. So at Sibley, I found a tie gang right there.
Mm-hmm.
And then they have an awesome old depot preserved. And that is just a really neat looking, very detailed, a lot going on with it type of old depot. And it's just really, really sharp, painted all gray, white doors. It looks like people are trying to put it back to the way it was.
That's cute.
Yeah. And then here's one of the some more grain bin ideas for Michael there.
Yep.
this is the grain elevator there at Sibley. And then this was the coolest thing I think I saw the whole day.
Impossible. Those 2 locomotives were way cooler than that.
I
What's
don't know.
so cool about this?
Well, this right here spans several decades all in one post. You have a 1970s or 80s style, maybe even early 90s style grade crossing crossbuck. Right below that, you have a 1960s, maybe even 50s style 2 tracks beaded 2 tracks sign. And below that, you have a modern day set of flashers. There's a lot going on this. There is nothing. I thought this was so cool when I saw it, and so I had to take a picture of it.
That is cool.
So some of the other things here on the Bloomer line, this is just a few pictures here. They do lease a GP15, or at least they did at one point. This is just some. This is at Cropsey, Illinois, crossing a creek or a wash or whatever you want to call them.
Did you figure out what they primarily hauled? Was it just grain, or was there other things you noticed?
The railroad hauls. Okay, so the railroad's owned by the grain company, right? So the majority of what they do is grain, but there are 1 or 2 smaller little non-grain. Like I said, that one place looked like a box plant or some kind of packing plant of some sort. And that was it. But for the most part, it's grain. Here's a neat little thing at Garber, Illinois.
Oh, it's a cool set of rusty tanks there.
Yeah, isn't that neat? And Illinois, Central Illinois' one tree is right there.
You found it.
I found Central Illinois' one tree. Here's Gibson City again. This is there's the little purple people eater right there. Switch engine. This is the high nose GP10 at the big grain elevator.
Now wait a minute. So these are additional photos.
Yeah, these are not stuff that I took. These are
you're at a okay. Gotcha.
Yeah, I'm at railroadpictures.net. Yeah.
Okay, sorry.
No, that's okay. This is at Cropsey again. You've got a couple of units sitting there, one hauling a train, one doing something at the elevator. This I thought was kind of a neat picture. The old augers kind of all at attention watching the train go by. Almost look like they're paying their respects, doesn't it? They're bummed out. But here's the signal. It says here, this is a signal on the former Wabash line. The train is backing around a switch to line up for the trip to the old Illinois Central. So this is like, you would think I would have seen this because it kind of looks like it stands out like a sore thumb, but no, I didn't even know it was there. So I didn't know what to look for. But now I do. And so, yeah, that is your short line of the show, the Bloomer line. I actually plan on making a trip back down there some point in time in the fall to try to catch them in action pulling trains.
That's a very cool short line, Mike. It'd be really fun if somebody had a small space and wanted to build like a real narrow shelf layout. That line has so much character. You could model those grain elevators and all those unique rusty pieces of equipment, and
it's especially if you were doing it in N scale and you knew somebody that had like access to like a lot of grain bin technology and stuff, you could do that. I mean,
we know a guy.
We know a guy, right?
Yeah.
So, but I thought there are a ton of railroads in Illinois, short lines that are just amazing ones. Crab Orchard and Egyptian was one that was brought up, and
sure.
Oh man, the list just goes on and on. And but this one was one that I kind of, earmarked on the way home that I wanted to try to see, and I kind of thought, well, why not? So it's and it's really accessible. There's highways that parallel almost the entire thing. So, the Chinese red, man, that's awesome.
Yeah, the Chinese red paint
that
scheme.
Is very, very, very cool. Very classic, so, but that's your short line of the show for this episode.
It was awesome.
We're going to go to Indiana next time, and that one's going to be Indiana, Illinois, Indiana, and Iowa are a veritable cavalcade of short lines that could be, you like that?
I did. That was some real poetic stuff, Mike. I can't believe it's amazing.
Yeah, I try,
Yeah, you did good. You
Yeah,
did good.
thanks.
Well, great segment as always, Mike. I learned a lot on this one, and that was really cool that you got a lot of the pictures yourself and got to see it in person. So excellent stuff. So we're gonna take a short commercial break here. We'll pass it off to the Greasy Meat Hands band, and we'll intro the next segment, which is That's right, fans. It's time for What's on Your Workbench. So we're in 2 hours deep to the show here. So we're gonna do the lightning round of What's on Your Workbench. So you have to bear with us as we post pics and all that. But I did want to give the folks on the call tonight opportunity to share what's on your workbench. So Mike, Michael, Scott, have you guys been working on anything model railroad related these days? I know I've been doing a little bit of stuff.
Whoa.
Michael,
have you been working on anything or just the track plan?
Well, I do have I'm working on the bench work.
And working on the bench work. Awesome.
And such for the layout. Nothing else really model related. The bench is always full of ISE products, but I don't know if that counts.
Hey, we'll give you a gold star for effort on that with the products always being available and on the workbench. So have to take a picture of it sometime to submit it for workbench of the week and see if it ranks in the high in the running. How about you, Scott? You've been working on much lately?
Yeah. I'm always working on something because, again, I've got that series, so I have the pressure of a deadline. But
sure,
I've also been doing some other things. I've got a fictitious line that I'm modeling. It's called the Paint Creek and Waterville, and here's a car I'm working on.
Oh,
so
that's cool.
It's called.
I like that.
It's called the Trout Route. As its tagline. So I'm working on this patched car. This is going to be a salt car. So it's going to be real dirty and nasty. I put the custom decals on there. So
that's really cool.
Yeah, Paint Creek. And then I'm also with Michael's help, I bought some electronics. Little Spark Fun board. I guess you'd call this an Arduino, right, Michael? Yeah.
It's an Arduino.
Yeah, and then it's got what's called a quick prototyping board on it.
Yep.
Because I've decided, well, one aspect of my layout is I'm going to have night ops eventually. So with blue LEDs, so I want to incorporate lighting in the buildings and street lamps and things like that. And so I was doing some research on the different lighting products out there. There's good products out there that you can purchase.
Yeah.
They can be a little bit pricey, but I got intrigued by just trying it on my own. So I got this board, and with Michael's guidance, I'm gonna just test this with a breadboard for the LEDs, and then once I get things set up, then I'm going to solder, the resistors and the wires and everything to go to the LEDs. And
we're going to turn Scott into a programmer, and his next task is going to be the proto throttle firmware update.
Oh yeah.
Oh boy.
No, don't.
If you want it totally screwed up, yeah. Just
don't crush his soul. Don't do that to him. don't crush his soul.
no.
Don't make him program
So
firmware. Don't do that.
I rely heavily on Michael to help me with these things, and when I can get his attention, I have to basically beg him to help me, but he's there for me. So anyway, that's what I'm doing.
That's fantastic. What about you, Mike?
Okay, we're gonna go here and here. I've been working on the first scene of my layout. I've been building telephone poles. I've got 3 of them done. These are pretty intricate. They're not that intricate. But they're a kit, and they come all weathered and stained like this. They look really nice when they get done. And I just kind of put together this scene in order to start trying to plan the first portion of the scenery on my layout.
Oh, looks cool. This
is right here. This is an HO scale propane tank, believe it or not. This I have a little hand car shed or motor car shed back here from Sioux Parts by Mike Paulsgrove. I've got that back in there. The depot is, man, I can't remember who the depot is made, but it's a Milwaukee Road style depot. And then so I just started putting the scene together. And a little Vista Cruiser here.
I love the Vista Cruiser.
Yeah, that's a green light car. That's really kind of cool. Then I started working on backdrop, and I came up with an idea about using plywood clips. And this is what a plywood clip looks like. So basically what you do is you bend it so it looks like this. Okay, so you bend this in. Now I'm only using 1/8 inch hardboard for the masonite board for my backdrop. So I brought this in and the top portion in. I bent it in so that it would meet the hardboard, and there's a little space and gap between the wall and the back of the layout, and that clip just slides right back there. And then on the very top, I have this held in with a command strip, a clear command strip mini hook.
Sure.
It's only rated for like a 1/2 pound. So, it just holds it right in place. And then the clips right here, I can just cover that up with some foliage or something.
So those clips that you put into your backdrop there, so typically they're used for holding plywood sheeting on roofs in together so that they don't come plying out. So like they use like OSB sheets when they resheet a roof, and then they put these clips in there. You can get them at Menards, right? Or any other big box store?
That's where I got mine. I got this is the 7/16. They make them 7/16, 1/2 inch, and 5/8. And I bought a bag of 25 of them, I believe it was, and it was it's under $5 for a bag of 25 of them. And I just used a lineman's pliers and a regular bullnose pliers, and I just kind of bent it the way I needed it, and between the 2 of them, and it turned out. And the thing is, I wanted to do is I don't have anything to put and drill bench work into. I didn't want to drill the bench work, not bench work, the backdrop. I didn't want to put the backdrop directly into the wall, or onto the wall. So this is completely removable. So it's just something I came up with, and we'll see how it goes. And there's a picture of the way it looks.
Yeah, that looks great.
And then I did a little weathering on my tie, or I stained my ties in that scene here now, and with a gray stain, and that turned out pretty good. I'm kind of happy really happy with the way that turned out. And this is what I used was this Hunter Line weathering mix. And I used the light gray, and then I kind of went over 1 or 2 of them with the creosote black to kind of give a little bit of varying textures to it. And that's
shade.
Yeah, different shades, and that's what I've been working on.
That's really cool, Mike. A lot of progress on the layout.
Trying, and I got it cleaned.
Hey.
Now if I could just work on this mess here, this is lost cause, I think.
This is where the concept for Workbench of the Week came from, right?
Kind of.
Awesome.
Oh, and I also had this. I got this done. I forgot.
You did get that done.
I got
Here.
my car done, and it was on display at St. Louis. And thank you for everybody that came up and all the nice words you guys said about it. This is a really cool car, and I'll be doing a review for Model Rail News on it. So I'm in the process of writing it right now. So
hashtag not sponsored.
Hashtag not sponsored. So
cool. I'll give you guys a brief update of what I've been doing. So you can see behind me here, I'm working on doing the rock face here, and essentially taking a plaster rock face, adding some acrylic stains to it that I just made out of Tamiya paint and isopropyl alcohol. And then I actually, instead of using a paintbrush, I put them in a cheap little spray bottle, and then I just shoot it onto
where
the
did you
rock
find
face.
those? Where did you that dollar store thing?
Well, you can get them at a dollar store. These specific ones I got from Target. So if you have to go to Target with your wife and you got to, go through the pharmacy aisle, in the travel section, you can get these little spray bottles, and they have a very nice fine mist. So I picked up about all my arm could carry of these little bottles, and I use them for scenery, spraying on glue, wet water, or the wetting agent for the scenery. They work great, and they got a nice fine mist to them. So I get mine at Target. They're $1, I think, a bottle. So, but
Nice.
yeah, so I put the paint diluted mixture in here, and then I shoot it onto the rock and just kind of let it trickle down and soak in as it is. So, and then I did some ground cover here to cover up the plywood Pacific that I got going on. So essentially been doing a bit of scenery work, getting this first scene kind of hammered out with the Athelstane branch of the Mascoutin Valley Railroad. So this is what I've been working on, and oddly enough, it's above my workbench, not what's on it. So my workbench is underneath my model railroad. So, and you can see it's pretty cluttered, but since I'm the host of this show, I'm disqualified for workbench of the week. So there you go. So that's what's on my workbench and what's on our workbench. Let's take a look and see what the section crew has been up to. This is always my favorite part of the show because there's just some fantastic modeling that we get to see. So I'll bring up our Facebook group, and it gives me a chance to plug the Facebook group here. So if you're not a member yet, be sure to sign up. Second Section Podcast. We have a really great community. We're up to 405 members. Now we had a little celebration. Was it this weekend? We did a little live stream in here where we all got together and talked, just a little chat room. That was fun. But for what's on our workbench, let's see what was all posted today. So in the comments, let's see all comments here. I got Nick. Looks like Nick LaRusso has a Pan Am Railways GP40.
Ooh, that's going to be
there. Yeah,
that's cool.
Let me pull up the big screen here so everyone can see what's going on. Little video here. He put in a ESU V5 and a Bowser dual speaker setup. Greg Gay is at the clubhouse working on his modules. These are turning out really good. Nice 3-stall engine house back there. He's got a video too, so be sure to check those videos out on the online. Paul Kassar, this is really well done.
Man.
Nice job. So Paul just finished weathering this AccuRail hopper using pan pastels and acrylic washes. So that's the old RF&P, Richmond, Fredericksburg, and Potomac covered hopper there. That's a beauty. I like how you faded the blue. That's tough to do. Well done, Paul. Paul Scott August. Been busy 2 weeks here at the workbench. Completed 3 projects, picks below. And I'm 2/3 of the way through building the pickle and salting station for AMB laser kits, as seen on the left. So looks like we got quite a bit of structure work going on here, Paul. Paul's workbench is always very neat, but it's good to see that he's rifling in projects in and out quickly. So that's nice to see. Look at this. Is that a piece of pipe insulation?
Kind of looks like it.
As a bumper to the workbench?
That's a good idea.
And then here's some more pictures of the pickle salting. That's nice. Wow.
That's cool.
And the grain elevator. That's a really good job.
That's really nice.
Oh my gosh. Well done. Got some silos here that he's done. Scratch built vertical oil storage tanks. Good weathering there. Jeez. I'm envious.
Yep.
Campbell Stockyard kit. I had this kit when I was a kid.
What'd you do with it?
I destroyed it. So it was a kit on my old HO scale module that I did back in the 90s, and it fell off the module, and I ended up stepping on it, and it turned into essentially a bunch of matchsticks. So
Gotcha.
that was the end of that. Michael Shanky painted and weathered, decaled his first custom tanker.
That looks very good.
Is a
Not
water
bad.
tender for the Sioux Line 1003. He says it's not his best work, but it was a fun challenge. I thought he did pretty well.
Yeah.
On this one, I think it looks great. And I like you get bonus points for the taco sauce in the background. You can see the Tamiya panel line wash there. We call that taco sauce. And then he gets double bonus points. Look at that. Second section podcast up on the computer screen back there. So he's tuning into the podcast. Michael, you get triple bonus points for that.
That's a 10-point photo right there.
That is a 10-point photo. Taco sauce, podcast. I like the woodwork here on the bench. Looks like red oak. I like that. All right. Tony Dixon. He's adding the handling system to his S-scale feed mill. This is turning out pretty good. Tony always has stuff going on his workbench. This guy's a machine. I'm telling you. I think he posted a few pics here. Here's another profile shot of it. He says 20 plus years of working on the real stuff comes in handy for the details. You can see that. There's his grain leg here. It's another good one. Look at all the evergreen styrene he has in the background here.
I know. It's no wonder he can't find any of it. It's all in Tony's house.
I was going to say, you're having supply issues. Just go to Tony. He's got it all.
That doesn't even count the pile of it that he has underneath that.
This is cool here with the details on the pipes coming down.
Yeah.
Tony. And then look at this. Puts a piece of paper in there so you can see the lines for the guide wires on the pipes for the grain elevator.
That's pretty sharp.
Nice work,
That's really
Tony.
cool.
You did
Nicely
good.
done, bud.
John Whithouse here says, unfortunately, I won't be able to watch it live tonight. Oh, sad. I have to go switch intermodal cars at Shoreham at 1900. But I did manage to get his Elko S6 and transfer caboose painted this morning. Looking forward to watching the show tomorrow morning when he gets done.
Is that brass one that he was working on?
Yeah, the one that he has been working on for a little while now. I think it was in the past 2 posts.
Or the one that was the plastic body, I think, with the
we'd better check in with Paul on that.
I'll have
one.
to talk to
or John, excuse me. Better talk to John on that one.
Yep, definitely.
Yeah.
Good work.
The transfer caboose is that's a cool little creation that's off to the side there. Sal Natali says, I don't have a workbench. I have a small apartment, but his computer desk, he has a Broadway Limited Penzi 210. He's trying to find a short in the locomotive, most likely a smoke unit. And he's got left here the Santa Fe fixing a botched DCC job. And he's building this on the right-hand side. He's building a Santa Fe. Let's see, Loco and adding DCC. He's got a Riverosi 060. Got all sorts of work on his computer desk here. So he gets double points for dual purpose.
He doesn't have a whole lot of space there either.
No, he doesn't. And he's maximizing it here. He's got all the tools and components there, all handy within arm's reach. And he's got his computer so he can tune into the Second Section podcast too while he's working.
I'd like the Sal gets a nod for workbench of the week.
Yeah, I think he's expanded to the kitchen table here. He has his Western Pacific Blue Box passenger cars getting weight. So not only is he at his computer desk, but he's at his kitchen table too. This is dedication.
Yes.
2 areas. But the models look good as well.
Yes.
So I think that should be noted. Those Western Pacific passenger cars are kind of sharp looking with the domes on top of them.
Oh, yeah.
I do like that. Well done, Sal. Let's see here. Chris Haddo. He's going to put a light weathering on this. Looks like a daylight locomotive there, if I'm not mistaken. A little Southern Pacific daylight. G4.
Those are cool.
Yeah, my son has one. He absolutely loves it. Nathan Crabb getting some weathering for his GBW train. Whew.
That's looking good.
I think I have that Green Bay and Western car. I think it might be a Walters car? Question mark. I may have that one.
Maybe, yeah.
Nathan,
I like the way the blue is faded. I like the way he did that.
Too.
That's really cool.
I got to learn how to fade blue. I'm not good at that. Jay Wilson getting the layout base coated and ready to start laying track. All right. So, Jay, you may know this, but your layout can also double as a workbench. So if you need storage space, look no further than mine. You can get some good storage space here. Timmy Ellum Chapman, nothing, but this is his workbench. It is at height, so he can stand at it or use a bar stool to sit at. That's
nice.
Kind of clever. I have my Rolly workbench at standing height. It's also my podcast station. So yeah, I like the standing while working as well. Robert J. Thomas trying out the Raspberry Pi Pico and prototyping a DCC track voltage monitor. Yes, there is an ISE rectifier in there. # not sponsored. That's going to get 10 bonus points right off the bat with the # not sponsored with Iowa Scaled.
Is he using a breadboard there? Is that what that is?
I believe so, yes. Probably getting his Raspberry Pi set up there on the breadboard.
Nice.
And of course, he's got his beautiful train above that. His Robert's work is first class.
Yeah.
Graham Stockfield. Here we go. Push the Sue DSS and A boxcar to the back, waiting for some warmer weather to spray the roofs. And now he's working on lumber loads. So wow. This is a labor of love here.
It's very organized.
It's so organized.
Where are the piles of stuff just arbitrarily thrown? That would be the way I would do it.
Yeah.
This is way too organized.
So, Graham, you'll have to let us know, are you individually stacking those boards or do you have other means of the madness? Are you following in the wayward footsteps of Luke Lemons on this one?
Wow. I do actually, all joking aside, I do like the way he had that all organized, all the different sizes and different containers.
Yeah.
It was very, very, very cool.
That's very good. I think I think that's going to take us through all of our posts tonight on what's on the workbench. Let me just double check here. Yeah, I think that's it.
That's perfect.
So again, if you want to join in the fun on the next show for what's on your workbench, feel free to post your pics of your work to the Facebook group, Second Section Podcast. You can find us out there. It's pretty easy to join. No questions, anything like that. Doesn't cost you anything, and it's a good time. A lot of good modelers in here, and a lot of good fun to be had. So be sure to join up on that. So, oh man, that chat's back. That chat bot is back. I have to block that guy.
Yeah.
More spam. Oh, he's back. This is the fun part of doing live chats. So we'll have to. I think what we'll do is I have to go out and get a moderator for the chat group. So if anyone's interested in moderating the chats, let me know, and I will certainly get people to moderate for us so we can keep these bots out.
Yeah, it's a lot to handle with doing everything else.
Yeah, it's fun. I mean, it's not so bad. So, anyways, so that was lightning round. We're in 2 hour, 2.5 hours into the podcast of this marathon session. So, any other questions for Michael or Scott? We'll give one last hurrah to them and into the chat if there's any other questions. Otherwise, I think what we'll do is we'll pass the microphone around the horn here for some closing comments. So, Scott, again, anything else you want to add, or any other comments you want to make before we tie up for the evening and shut her down?
No, we really appreciate you inviting Michael and I on the podcast. Had a good time and really enjoyed it. And we would just ask everyone with these new products, it's going to take, like Michael said earlier, it's going to take some time. So just be patient with us, and we'll keep working on them and hopefully have something for you, in the distant future.
So you're saying I'll be able to pay my mortgage this month?
We'll give you a reprieve for a little bit of time here.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
What about you, Michael? We'll pass the microphone over to you.
Yeah, so like Scott said, thanks for the forum and getting to talk to new people about what we're doing. It's always a good opportunity, and rest assured, Scott's pushing us to get things done. So
no,
yeah,
I just beg him. I say, please.
Weeks, so it's good.
I at least I didn't make any promises.
Yeah.
I've gotten into trouble in the past making promises, and then my poor partners at Iowa Scale, they cringe. No promises, no promises.
No, don't put us under the deadline.
Yeah, I don't do that. I learned. I do learn.
Thanks, guys. We really appreciate it.
Yeah, you betcha, anytime. And I'll say this: we had a great chat going tonight. We had I think we almost had 70 people in the chat.
Yeah.
At the high point tonight. Great, aside from the chat bot that came in and kind of ruined the show a little bit. I think it was great questions, great group, a lot of engagement, a lot of excitement for the products that are coming out from Iowa Scaled Engineering and Scotty's model shop as well. So I'm going to put links to Scotty's model shop in the show notes as well, so that you're able to grab them out there, and make sure that you check him out. And if you have proto throttle, or those derails look pretty cool, make sure you pick up some of those as well. So Mike Ostertag, I'll give you the final call here tonight before we shut her down. Any notes?
Well, I just want to say that over the last several years, I've gotten to be very good friends with both Michael and Scott, and thank you very much for all the laughs and all the good times and stuff, and actually coming on our show, and it really means a lot. Thank you very much. You guys, no BS aside, you guys put out a quality product right straight across the board. And, it's thank you very, very much for coming on, the show. I really, really appreciate it.
Right.
Thank you for your support.
Yeah, you guys.
Well, my pocketbook doesn't really thank you very much.
And you guys are always welcome. Always welcome to come back onto the show anytime. You guys will be like the K&B construction crew on Tool Time. Those guys always showing up, showing us really cool things, really cool tools, really cool products. So we'll gladly have you back on. You always bring a good crowd in, and you always have good engagement from the chat here. So yes, you guys are welcome anytime.
Anytime.
Thanks.
Yep.
All right. So again, that's Scott. That's Michael from Scotty's Model Shop and Iowa Scaled Engineering. Thank you again for taking the time to join us this evening to talk about the game-changing products that are coming out for operations on your model railroad. And again, I want to thank the folks out in the chat. We carried 35 all the way to the end here. So thank you for sticking it out with us tonight. Great questions, great discussion. Again, check out our Facebook page. That's Second Section Facebook group. Just sign up and join. It's a fun group of folks. And we will talk to you guys in a couple of weeks. Good night, everybody.
Night.